Are you not sure if your child needs an IEP or a 504 plan, but you know something is needed because something is starting to go really sideways at school? Maybe you've wondered about this for a few years and you're just not sure what to do. This video today is going to talk to you about the difference between a 504 plan and an IEP and help you kind of understand the next steps you might want to take at your child's school to see what plan might be right for them. Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm a former special education teacher and administrator, and now I'm an educational advocate, helping and educating families just like yours. And by the end of this, I really want you to have a clear understanding of the difference between a 504 plan and an IEP. If you need personalized guidance on kind of the next steps, or if your child already has an IEP or 504 plan and you just need to talk it through with someone, I do offer 1-hour consultations. You can find the information in my description, and I'd be happy to talk to you and see how I can support you as you support your child. Let's start with what is an IEP. An IEP is a legal document that is governed nationally under IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It is a legal document and it has several parts to it that make it an IEP plan. A 504 plan is a part of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. It is also a legal document, and it is in place for students who need accommodations to be able to access their educational opportunities. Here's a little bit more about the differences. An IEP can only be offered to a student once an educational evaluation has been completed, which the family has to agree to, which is a whole other video. And through that educational evaluation process, there have been areas identified that would qualify a student in one of 13 eligibility categories. And then a team, the IEP team, of which parents are a part of, agrees that that is the right next step. And then after that, the IEP team, which is made up of a local education agency representative, a special education teacher or service provider, a general education teacher, and you, the parent or guardian, and depending on the age of your child as well. We'll go through and look at present levels. You'll look at goals that are identified from present levels. So the goals are the areas that your child needs specific additional instruction in from a specialist. And then those goals inform services. So how much time do these specialists need to spend with your child to be able to support the skill development identified in the goals? And then accommodations, modifications, and then, so that's the whole picture, and that all has to be agreed upon by that IEP team. A 504 is to address what is usually a chronic health condition, and then accommodations that will address that. So for example, if a child has juvenile arthritis, then they might need to leave class 3 minutes early every single day so they are not jostled in the transitions that happen like at a junior high or high school. And so maybe all they need is to leave 3 minutes early every single day, and that's it. So if that's the only accommodation needed, that would be written on the 504 plan. It would be important to have a 504 plan just in case there's ever a teacher who doesn't want to let a student leave early, and then it's just outlined and everybody understands how to support that child. But there's no services that are being offered. There's no goals that are being tracked and measured. They just need that one accommodation. That's a great example of a student who might need a 504. Let's talk about some very specific things on an IEP. Your student might have speech and language services. They might have audiology services if they utilize hearing aids and need an FM system. They might need specific instruction for reading comprehension from a special education teacher, not simply somebody who is doing extra reading intervention as part of RTI. They might also have modifications, so their curriculum might be fundamentally changed. Maybe instead of learning 5 skills in math over a 2-week period, they're only expected to learn 2 skills in math over a 2-week period because their curriculum is modified. And that's the most appropriate support to meet their educational needs so they can access and participate in their educational opportunities and make meaningful progress. Let's talk a little bit about some accommodations that might be on a 504 for a student who has different chronic health conditions or just different needs in the classroom that can be addressed through a 504 plan with accommodations. So on the IEP, we talked about modifying the curriculum. Maybe on the 504, and this can be on an IEP as well, all of these can, maybe they have reduced number of problems. So instead of 50 problems, they only have to do 15 problems, but they must demonstrate mastery in all 5 skills, as opposed to on the IEP, maybe 2 out of the 5 skills. Maybe they have that they can take the test in a separate setting, where it's quieter and smaller. Maybe they can do speech to text or text to speech. Maybe they can have flexible seating, so they can have a standing desk option. Maybe they have a wiggle pad for their seat or just a regular chair. Those are accommodations. They're not fundamentally changing anything about the student's educational access. They are just making it so that the student can access, but we're not changing the curriculum in any fundamental way, and there's no services with the 504 plan typically. Okay, let's talk eligibility for both. Of an IEP, we talked, you have to have a full educational evaluation, and a child must be eligible one of 13 categories as agreed upon by the IEP team. For a 504, there is an outside diagnosis typically that shows some type of need at school that can be met through a 504 plan. So I've seen 504s for everything from anxiety, ADHD, juvenile arthritis, diabetes, and more. Who writes them? For an IEP, it's the IEP team that's writing and agreeing on that IEP document, and all of those people we talked about earlier. For a 504, it's general education teachers and typically a 504 coordinator. Both the IEP and 504 have legal protections, and both have procedural safeguards for parents, but the IEP procedural safeguards are typically a lot bigger than those for a 504. But if your child has an IEP or a 504, you should be being offered parental rights or procedural safeguards at every meeting. And let's talk about why you're here. How do you know which plan your child needs? Well, it depends. I advise parents to write down everything that they're concerned about, and then see if you can kind of clump that all together into 2 to 3 buckets that you can talk with the school about. So maybe there's a bunch of things with academics, a few things with behavior, and some things with interpersonal skills that you're concerned about. Put it all together, reach out to the school, and let them know you'd like to have a meeting, typically starting with your child's teacher. Ask that your child's teacher and maybe an administrator or school counselor is present at the meeting, and go in and have a discussion about what you're concerned about and what you're seeing, and then be willing to listen to what they say and engage in a collaborative discussion about what the next steps might be. It might be that the school has been noticing things as well and wants to move down a specific path, and you need to agree or disagree and explain why you think that may or may not be the right next steps for your child. When you're meeting with the team, if you really at the end of the day are feeling like there are specific services that your child needs, that's much more in the IEP territory. If there's just accommodations that are needed and you think that will allow your child to access their educational opportunities more effectively, you're looking at more like a 504. And if you're not sure which one, again, if you've met with the team and you're still not sure and you just really think something else needs to be done, reach out to me. I offer those consultations and I'd be happy to work with you. I also have a lot of free resources on my blog that will help you kind of understand more about what next steps might be. There's also a lot of TikTok videos you can check out. Let's do a couple questions I get asked all the time. Can my child have services on a 504? Yes, rarely. So if your child is receiving services on a 504, it is very rare. I've only seen it once. I saw it for a student who needed counseling support so that he could make sure to continue to go to school. He needed nothing else and he did not need an educational goal. So he had services for counseling on his 504. Another question I'm frequently asked is, why would I say yes to a 504 plan if there's something called an IEP and that offers more supports for my child? And I would say, because it depends on the needs of your child. Not every student needs a 504 plan. Not every student needs an IEP. Not every student needs an IEP or 504. Sometimes there are steps that can be done before initiating either of those documents for your child that meet the needs of your child and allow them to continue to make meaningful progress in school. So having that meeting with the team at school, like the teacher and a counselor or an administrator, can really help everyone get on the same page about the needs of your child and what the next steps might be. The next steps might be data, making sure that there's enough data to make an informed decision about what should be done next to support your child. I hope all this helped. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to know your questions about 504s and IEPs.